and I'll be watching you from here.
Hi there, thank you so much for joining me for my vlog. I had some exciting news today. The sample of this is ready. This is the new EP, Polaroids and Postcards. If I say so myself, I'm really happy with the artwork. I did it in conjunction with a Brazilian collage artist. And I'm trying to do something a bit special. I know people are talking about CDs dying. I don't believe that. Woohoo! I think if you make them extra special, then people still want them. I hope I'm right. This one's got it's even numbered, so I'm only going to make 200 of this special edition, and it's got all sorts of pretty artwork and lyrics and things inside. Anyway, I'm going to talk more about the CD as it gets a little closer, because I'm sure you're already sick of me going on about it and not actually having anything to show for it properly yet. But last vlog I was talking about being in a particularly busy period of my career, and I was trying really hard not to whinge, if you remember. I'm probably in the last week of this super busy period, and I've got to admit my constant companion has been stress and self-doubt, which manifests itself in the way of these cookies. I've got to say, they are so good. I bought them for my mum and I'd planned to give them to her next time I saw her, but they were sitting there going, eat me, you'll feel so much better. And I swear I don't work for Cadbury, but these are like some of the best cookies I've ever tasted. Crunchy on the outside, chocolate chips all the way through, and then this gooey, chocolatey centre. Anyway, I ate the whole lot in one sitting because I was stressed and not feeling good enough, basically. Just thinking, can I handle these different gigs I'm doing? Am I right for them? Are people going to realise that I'm not as good as they think I might be? And, you know, it's actually a typical imposter syndrome. It has a name, the imposter syndrome, that singers and probably other creative artists get when they lose faith in themselves and they think, how am I managing to get all this work and do all these great things? People are going to find out that I'm not really very good at what I do at all. Anyway, I've definitely got the imposter syndrome lately, and I think it's partly about being out of my comfort zone. And I was really thinking about the whole comfort zone thing, because when I started out, when I was a beginning singer, I was really into jazz, and, you know, just jazz standards, not the really clever, scatty kind of jazz that, you know, I really appreciate but can't necessarily do. I really just wanted to sing anything for anybody, but jazz was what I really loved. And so the very first gig, professional-ish gig that I got, was rap. So you might say slightly out of my comfort zone, and you know what? I was really bad at it. Like, I look back at videos and I can't believe anybody let me get on a stage with my rapping abilities. You know what, and don't go looking up YouTube, because this was pre-YouTube. And if it wasn't, I would be pulling them down left, right and centre if there existed any videos. And you know what, there is a video that I own. And you're not going to believe this. Hugh Jackman was my backing dancer. I was with a rap trio, and I think we've all decided, we've all got a copy, perhaps not Hugh, of this video, and I don't think anyone's put it on YouTube, perhaps because we all know we could do better. As well, of course, as not putting it up to do the right thing by Hugh and not wanting to undermine his massive Hollywood career. This was obviously years before that. So thinking back to those early days, I wanted to do jazz. I did rap, and eventually I did do jazz as well. And then, you know, there's not a lot of work around for jazz singers in Sydney anyway, and so I morphed into a disco singer because that was what was available. If I wanted to do gigs, I pretty much had to do disco. And I fell in love with disco along the way, you know, a lot of the retro 70s kind of stuff. And I became a disco singer, so much so that I got hired for a jazz gig for a wedding. And I overheard one musician saying to the other, "Why did they hire her? She's a disco singer." Which is pretty funny, really. So, you know, my comfort zone expanded into disco and, you know, top 40 music and dance music and all the kind of stuff that I actually really love now. Along the way, that comfort zone kind of got kicked out, you know, the corners got moved, and I morphed into a rock singer, and now I think I think a lot of people would probably describe me as a rock singer. I love rock. And maybe I've, grown into it or it's grown into me, but it feels like that's part of my comfort zone now too. Which is funny because, I release my own music and I think you can hear my jazz leanings and my love of pop and, everything a little bit more moody. But the rock is definitely in there. So this weekend I'm doing a big show at the Manly Jazz Festival with basically an R&B band, and that really feels like the corners of my comfort zone are almost not in sight. That's so way out, and it's all those extra notes and all that funky cleverness that I don't really see as being exactly me, although it borders on a little bit of disco, and I'm thinking, can I do it? Am I going to be good enough? It's a massive learn, and there's lots of reasons why I'm feeling insecure about it, which is why the cookies, and I'm not going to do that again. One in the week is enough. And the funny thing is, I have to tell you a story about when I was starting out. I'd been doing a few kind of jazz-ish duo gigs in lobby bars in 5-star hotels, those kind of things. They were the first kind of gigs I ever did. And one of the guys that booked me and my piano player, I became, friendly with him, and he said to me, I could really do with some help in the office, making the bookings for artists and looking through the promotion and, that kind of thing. Would you want to come and see the behind the scenes of the business and maybe work for me one day a week? And, this is funny because I'd come from a really big corporate job where I kind of had my own secretary, and now I'm being someone's secretary. But, it was an invaluable experience to be able to see behind the scenes of the music business, which is obviously a different kettle of fish. So I said yes, and I started working for him just one day a week. And he was great. He, as well as booking all these little lobby bars, he booked a really, really cool band that was kind of the funky R&B jazz hip band of the time that had a residency at one of the hip clubs. And so he was quite well known in that area, and he booked all the really cool musicians. And so all these really cool musicians would come into the office to pick up their paychecks, and he'd always introduce me, bless him, as, this is Amanda, she's helping me out in the office, but she's a singer, and she's just starting out in her career and she's great. And he would talk me up, and it was really sweet of him to do that, and he made sure I was introduced to everybody. Anyway, I kind of got to know some of these people, and one week one of the musicians who I'd met a few times came in, and I looked up to these people. I just thought they were the kings of the industry. They probably were. And he came in, and no one ever really engaged me in conversation much, but he walked over to me and said, "You're Amanda, aren't you?" And I thought, maybe he saw me sing at one of my lobby bar gigs, and I was kind of getting excited that he was giving me any kind of attention beyond thank you for the paycheck that you're handing me. And he said, "I've got an opportunity you might be interested in." Now I'm sweating and I'm trying to be cool, thinking, maybe he's got another band project or someone he knows needs a singer. They're sure to be cool if it's him. And he said, a friend of mine owns a tiling company and he's looking for a secretary. And I thought, if you're only working here one day a week, oh my goodness, can you imagine? I just thought, he just sees me as a secretary. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being a secretary, but I'd worked very hard just to get my foot in the door of being in the music industry, and I'd given away this really big corporate gig, and now this really hip, influential musician was offering me a secretary's job. So I didn't actually end up working for this lovely gentleman too much longer. I just thought, this is not the right way to do things. This is not the way to get noticed in the industry in the right way. But the reason I'm telling you this story is this musician, who will remain nameless, and I'm sure he can't remember this. I'm sure this meant nothing to him at the time. He didn't do anything wrong. So for me, it was a stab to the heart. For him, I'm sure he didn't give it a second thought. This guy is in one of the bands that I'm working in this weekend. And I'm never going to tell him this story. If you know who I'm talking about, please don't tell him this story. I'm still embarrassed by it. But anyway, I'm working with this band among quite a few other bands this weekend, and I am actually really excited. The music is amazing, the musicianship is amazing. All the venues we're playing at are great in all these different gigs, but I got to admit it, I'm nervous. So think of me over the weekend and send me good vibes. I'm working really, really hard to make sure I'm as prepared as I possibly can be. And I'll let you know how it goes. I'll let you know later. And because I've been so busy learning all this new repertoire and freaking out and eating chocolate biscuits and that kind of thing, I haven't had a chance to edit my most recent stage stories, my most recent interview. So that one will have to wait for another fortnight, which is a shame because it's a really interesting one with a guitar player called John Spence. And not only is he an accomplished guitar player, he's an amazing music entrepreneur. You might have heard of a little worldwide sensation called The Wiggles, a kids' music band, and he managed that group in the early days. And to hear the kind of strategies that he used to get that band to the popularity, it ended up achieving is really interesting. But that'll be soon. I will see you soon. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much for joining me and listening to my insecurities. Feel free to share yours. I swear, a trouble or an insecurity shared is a trouble halved. So thank you for being my therapist today, and I'm more than happy to be yours in return. Thank you.
But I'll be watching